The River Thames is the perfect place to escape the built-up city. I love coming down here. You see some of London's finest architecture and can enjoy life on the river itself. But you know, I've never actually noticed what happens when the tide goes out. This is the Thames foreshore, and I've come here to meet a man who spends most of his spare time digging in the mud. He is mud god Steve Brooker, one of London's best-known mudlarks, and he's obsessed with ancient rubbish. Hi, Steve. Good to meet you.
Hi.
I can't wait for today. What is it about, well, down here, this bit of foreshore?
As you can imagine, the Thames foreshore is probably the biggest archaeological site maybe in the world.
So we might unpick some real history.
Hopefully, yeah, and maybe we'll change history.
Steve has brought me to one of the most finds-rich areas of the Thames. As it's my first time, this should give me a bit of a head start. The thing is though, Steve, as a novice, I look down and I feel a bit blinded. I don't know where to begin.
Easy way. I'll give you a rock, you throw the rock, and wherever this lands, yeah, hopefully, yeah, I can tell you a story about something that's there.
Well, anyway, just lob it anyway.
Just chuck it down, yeah. Let's have a quick look. Quite a good find, really, when you think about it. Right, this is an onion bottle. So it actually went out to this, it's quite a large beast, this is.
And what century would that date from?
We're talking about 17th, late 17th. There's a story behind every single item that's here. You've just got to unlock that actual story.
And of course, what was then rubbish is now a historical artefact. After only 5 minutes of scraping, I'm already finding things. Is that a bone? What's that?
No, that's a pipe. That's a pipe stem.
Steve's been mudlarking here for 15 years, but mudlarks have been around for centuries. It was the name given to the desperate people who scavenged the foreshore for saleable items. The modern mudlarks are a bit different from their original counterparts.
Of course, today, yeah, we don't have to scavenge. We're just actually looking for artefacts and bits and pieces.
What was it that brought you personally to the foreshore?
I was actually given £10 to actually buy a pair of trousers. And my friend was given £10 as well. And on the way to get the trousers, we actually bought a second-hand metal detector. So yes, I got a wallop for buying the metal detector, but this is what started me down here. And of course, that's what I do all the time now.
It's strangely calming by the river. You wouldn't believe that up there it's rush hour. The only people here are other mudlarks.
Mudlarking is like a drug. Literally, you go, you find something nice and you want more and you want better.
I've been doing it for 4 years and absolutely love it. I eat it, sleep it and dream it.
Mudlarking is an addictive pastime, but not anyone can dig on the foreshore. In London, only 51 people belong to the Society of Thames Mudlarks. This small group of specialists have been approved by the Museum of London and granted a licence from the Port of London Authority.
It's not something you can actually write or phone into to join. You've got to put your time in. You've got to declare your finds to the Museum of London. And if you get recognised and they know that you're really sort of not just going down there for what you can pick up and sell, eventually they'll ask you, would you like to become a mudlark?
Once you've got a licence, you could find anything.
Yesterday I found my first James sixpence, and this is a spectacular find for the Thames or anywhere in this sort of condition.
I've had a very good day today because I've got this Queen Anne cufflink.
Is that your star find?
That's my star find today, yeah.
Look at that, what a gem.
And it's still got quite a lot of the gilding on, I think you can see there.
That's an absolute beauty. You can imagine that on some flouncy cuff, can't you? I've been back in the mud for an hour now, and I'm overwhelmed by the number of little treasures I'm finding. Oh yeah, and what's this? Wait a sec, let me rinse this off. That's a bit of pottery.
Yeah, it's just a Victorian jar.
How do you know it's Victorian?
I can just tell by the way the glaze is.
There's lots of it though, isn't there? I found that as well.
Yeah, again, Victorian.
I like that.
Oh yeah, well, it's our food source, isn't it? So there's messes down here.
Well, is that an oyster?
Yeah.
We're going to send some of our finds off to the museum now to have them verified, and I hope they're going to be impressed with what we've got. This is a piece of Tudor brick, I think. Clay pipe, lots of bits of broken clay pipe. Smaller, in fact very intricate, these are tiny medieval pins. And my favourite so far, a piece of chainmail. While my treasures head off, Steve shows me some of his star finds. Now that is eye-catching jewellery. I'm assuming they're not diamonds or you wouldn't be sitting here today.
No. This is Georgian bling of the day. These are glass and they're foiled back, yeah, so they're actually made to look like diamonds. As I flash them like that, you can see them sparkling.
Yeah. What's extraordinary about this is it's costume jewellery and yet it's in such pristine condition. How is that after hundreds of years?
Well, this actually came deep from the Thames mud, and of course the Thames mud is anaerobic, which actually means there's no air. So how things actually went in are exactly how they came out, as long as they were deep in that Thames mud.
I mean, you could model this on your shoe today.
Yeah, you could do, yeah. And maybe I could entice you with my Georgian shoe buckle.
Don't think it goes with the
No, I
lady.
don't think I can.
Discoveries like Steve's buckle often end up at the Museum of London. Here in the Medieval Gallery, there are over 200 mudlark finds, many of which have changed the history of London.
These are pewter toys that have been found on the Thames foreshore by mudlarks, and they've really changed the way we think about childhood in the past, because before we knew about these toys, people assumed that sort of in Tudor and medieval times that childhood was rather grim. These toys have shown us that actually children were playing and they were having fun.
Back at the foreshore, with the water rising, time has run out. Do you know, Steve, I'm staggered by how quickly that tide's come in.
That's one of the things you've really got to watch down here, yeah? It can be exceedingly dangerous if you don't know your tide tables, or if you're in the wrong part of the foreshore itself, yeah, and that tide comes in, you can get cut off.
One minute I was looking for my clay pipe, and the next I had a wet bottom.
I know. That's as quick as it comes in, yeah? It just caught you by surprise.
At the Museum of London, I've come to learn more about my morning's discoveries.
Staggering the amount of stuff that such a short period has yielded.
Well, it's a great collection that you've got here, all of the typical sort of material that is coming up all the time from the surface of the foreshore.
You say typical, does that mean that I don't have any, well, treasure?
Well, not in the legal definition of treasure. You know, more than 10% gold or silver, more than 300 years old.
What I was particularly amazed by, and actually once I sort of stabbed my finger on one, were the number of pins. Why?
Yeah, there are literally thousands down there. They would have been such a useful little object, but it's the way that they're made which helps date them. They have a tiny wound wire head, and it would have been made on a pinnace bone like this, and you simply sit a pin within one of the grooves at the end, secure it with a bit of binding, and then you can sharpen up the point. We have a really good relationship with Steve and the other mudlarks. It's really important that they are recording their information because it has the power to tell us so much about London's past.
I'm just the average guy in the street. I'm not a academic or anything. And whatever I've learned, I've actually picked up myself by researching, and I have become the Thames mudlark.
It's been incredible to see and hold the flotsam and jetsam of London's past in the palm of my hand. I've totally caught the bug. So I want to go and have a chat with Steve, see if I can't do a bit of arm twisting and find out more about that mudlark licence. And I reckon the best place to do that is over a pint.